Hello mates and welcome to the Iron Man series podcast episode 26. Last episode was our big season mid-finale. Last episode was 5.5 hours or something egregious. This episode should be less because we'll find out after this battle. Which is now.
That's so stupid. Is it a reverse or what is it?
It is a reverse, but it's a... Oh, I forgot to start the timer. Today's a speedrun gimmick. You see this thing at the top? This classic speedrunner's guide to the galaxy? I forgot to remove Mario. But yeah, usually Iron Mans take way too long. And I always wondered if it was a good idea to incentivize speed or try to make a goal out of a short Iron Man. Because part of winning and playing our best is timing the other guy out. So we wouldn't want to de-emphasize that, but it's a good idea to try to optimize on all the other things, like how long it takes to switch. We'll finally know what Iron Man was the shortest, excluding every Iron Man we've done so far. But we'll have little splits, like you know how Minecraft runners will have like they'll split at the Nether, or like the 64 guys will split at Bob on Battlefield or whatever. We have little splits for each row. So you'll see row 1 when that gets completed. We'll get our time there. Everything's gonna be a little low because I screwed it up, but it's okay. It's whoever completes their row first, depending on the direction we're going. So since the bottom row is shorter than the top row, it's whoever Liam when he's out of row 1, because that marks, it's assuming I win always, which is a educational guess based on data and statistics. Whoever has the statistical higher seed will be the one we're assuming our speed run off of, which won't always be true, but it's a statistical, it's the best we can do. But yeah, we'll get to see which rows takes us the longest, if we actually do get slower the further we go, or if we get faster, and it's a good way to gauge improvement. What do you think about today's gimmick, co-host Liam?
I'm interested to see how it goes, for sure. I want to see how this feels compared to the other ones, especially after the really long one we just had.
It was a hefty news week. Last week we didn't have a whole lot to talk about, especially because you need to switch to Samus, but also because Liam didn't listen to the music, and that was a big topic that the producers wanted us to talk about. But we should start with the big-ish thing, that everyone in the Nintendo gaming sphere has been viciously talking about, not only this week, but since pretty much forever. Ever since the Switch came out, people were like, alright, but
they were like, okay, it's time for Liam to play Ike Reviews. So this is our formal announcement that I'm calling out Ike Reviews to play me in an Iron Man.
None of the characters are that good. The guy comes out as an asshole. Like, he's just an asshole.
You can't say that. What needs to happen, if we want a guest star, is we need to build up a portfolio so he knows what an Iron Man series is. If he came on the channel and he started watching videos and he was immediately called out, he would be like, this is sus. All they do is talk about me, this is a very strange show. Let's talk about the Switch OLED. Let's just recap the trailer. So we start off, Nintendo just drops this out of the blue, which is something modern Nintendo likes to do. They don't like to hype up their shite anymore. Sometimes they have big E3 blowouts for a lot of their things, but sometimes they decide that it might get more scrutiny, it might fill out the year better if we spread these out. Who knows what their exact rationale is, but they drop it. Starts off, it's the Switch logo. What do you think about that Switch click?
I like the Switch snap.
But do you like it more than the GameCube intro?
I don't know.
How about the 3DS intro?
Which is just the screens?
That's the DS intro.
What was the 3DS?
It makes a sound. What about the Game Boy Advanced intro? That one's hard to beat.
What about it? What about all this? What are you trying to...
Well, how would you rank all of them?
I don't really have any preference on it. My favorite ones will always be the GameCube and the GBA.
We see in this introduction that Liam's least favorite Nintendo Switch intro starts up, and then it zooms in which we've never seen happen before, which means you know this is a big deal. Maybe we saw it during the Switch Mini, I don't really recall. We didn't analyze things back then. So we zoom in, and then what happens after that, Liam? Make sure it's exactly what happens chronologically, or else I'll be angry.
Oh, you're gonna be really upset. I didn't even watch it.
Oh.
I only looked at the info about it, and I looked at some screenshots from it.
Well, that changes how
overall,
I figured this was gonna go. Did you watch Black Widow?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, it zooms in and we see an Aurora Borealis localized entirely within this YouTube video. And then the letters OLED. Now, how would you rank these 4 letters?
Oh my god. Yeah, it's a screen.
No, that's not what I asked. I'm talking about the letters. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, Y, and Z. Out of OLED, I won't make you rank all of them, I guess, because that's a difficult task. Which one's your favorite letter?
Probably the L, but I'm biased.
Moving on, Nintendo seems to favor these letters because they made a screen out of them. See, what does OLED stand for, Liam?
Light emitting diode. I actually wonder if that's right. I think that's right.
And then O stands for electronic.
It is supposed to give richer blacks, and I think it's like crisper whites or something, or maybe it's just the darks on the screen are more defined.
And then they would be even better, I guess. Unless you prefer lighter black, in which case it would be worse. But we see... Are you eating?
Shut up. Shut up.
Why would you start eating after you pick your character? So, we get past the OLED, we zoom in past... I've never played with an OLED, so I don't really have an opinion on this. I like the idea of better colors. Sounds like a good idea.
I believe the Vita had an OLED screen.
The Vita, and this is... People are like, oh, technology from a long time ago. I guess OLEDs are... There was debate on which one was more or less expensive. Clearly it's more expensive because it costs more, but maybe not. I don't know. I would assume if it's better it costs more. But it's more power efficient too somehow, I hear. Although the battery life is the same, but the screen is bigger. So that would mean the lights are bigger, which means they're more expensive, right? So, who knows? Maybe they are per inch cheaper. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Moving on, it zooms in past these magical ethereal letters, and we see the Metroid Dread E3 trailer playing on the Switch Lite. Now, how do you feel about Metroid Dread E3's trailer?
I really liked it. I wanna play the game.
Yeah, so we don't see any new gameplay of Metroid Dread. We see it as the ability to play trailer footage in 7 inches or whatever, which is really cool. This dude bro picks it up and he's super excited. He's running from the Emmy in trailer form. Samus dies, and instead of getting fucking pissed, he just kind of laughs it off. That's the thing, is they don't... These Nintendo trailers are not very realistic. They never show someone like throwing their Switch at a wall, which I'm curious how that would do. It would make it feel more honest. Maybe he was literally watching E3 on his Switch OLED model edition and decided that it was a funny moment in the trailer, so he laughed at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The Joy-Cons are now white.
Which they do look sleek.
They look nice, and it's a nice parallelism with the Metroid Dread aesthetic, at least in like the first area, with all the Emmys and futuristic electronic Apple type areas, you know? It's also pretty Wii-esque, because the Wii was white, Liam. It's a pretty old console. But that was like very futuristic in its time. And now this is coming full circle. It's like how when the Switch originally came out and you had the blue and red Joy-Cons, and it sort of kind of felt like the blue one is Link and the red one is Mario, you know? The Joy-Cons are nice. We can still do red and blue, and of course it's backwards compatible because they don't fix these fucking controllers. Now, if you had a Switch OLED, let's say for free, you ever play the 3DS and they had those like 3D trailers you could download and you could watch trailers on your 3DS? But because there's no 3D functionality on YouTube, this was the only way you could watch the trailers in 3D. Like Metal Gear Solid 3D and Kid Icarus Uprising. So would you, if you had a Switch OLED and it already had a Metroid Dread trailer downloaded onto it, would you...
No.
You wouldn't even be like, oh, I like the Metroid Dread trailer, maybe I'll watch it.
Why would I ever download a trailer?
It was already downloaded. It's on your home screen. It's practically open. It'll be like, do you want to open this? But you also have from now to the rest of your life to watch the Metroid Dread trailer on your Switch. That's on your Switch. Even if you're on a plane and you don't want to play a game right away, and you're like, I remember this Metroid Dread trailer. I'm gonna be nostalgic for it. Would you ever do that?
No.
If they had, let's say, the Sephiroth trailer downloaded on your Switch OLED, would you pop it open on a plane ride?
No.
You would never watch it for the rest of your life?
Why would I watch a trailer when I can play a game?
Because sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes the trailers have something the game doesn't. Like Mario getting impaled.
But I've already seen it.
Yeah, but you'll never watch it again, even on YouTube?
I mean, if I want to watch it on YouTube, I guess I'd watch it on YouTube, but I wouldn't, like, be like, oh, time to watch something on my Switch. I would never do that.
Even if the power of suggestion was right there? Like, you just close the game and you're like, you know, this is like the source quality. What if there was an Easter egg in it? What if it was an enhanced trailer?
If there was some sort of thing that, like, was an Easter egg and you could see who the next fighter is only on this, then yeah, maybe I would watch it.
What if it was like only on the Switch OLED trailer? There will be the Sephiroth trailer, but he's shirtless the entire trailer.
I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't care.
Wow. What if there was a fighter?
If you had, okay, here, let me hit you with a question. If you had Final Fantasy VII on your Switch, wouldn't you play it?
No, because that's not a 2-minute trailer. That's a 100-hour game. Also, I think I have played it on my Switch. Also, I don't even know.
No, you haven't played it because you haven't finished it.
That's not what playing means.
You don't even know where the stage is.
Yeah, this is in the northern cave.
It's actually a crater.
Well, that's not what Smash told me.
Do you even know what's in the northern crater?
Yeah, materia.
What materia?
Green.
Nope.
He's like, fucking, oh yeah, I died. Then it CG zooms into CG. We're in CG Switch land where the Switch always looks really nice looking. And it's got a bigger screen, so they're showing the Breath of the Wild trailer where Link's fallen, and it gets bigger, and you're like, wow, 7-inch OLED. That is good, nice stuff, you know? The color doesn't change, which is, I think, the hard part about making a trailer like this, is that you can't really demonstrate an OLED upgrade, because you can't switch someone's monitor or cell phone between LCD and OLED, you know? Because it's OLED what it is. It's interesting that the console itself doesn't change in size, so it's still sort of backwards compatible. It's all awesome. This is the coolest thing to ever happen. Right, Liam?
Nope.
So there's this nice looking redhead lady playing her Switch OLED, playing some Zelda, running around in the Breath of the Wild 2 land. Specifically not being on the ground, because even the Switch OLED trailer people know that when they show the ground, it's uninteresting. She's playing the game. Her hair gets blown back, which is possibly hinting at some other features, maybe either of the Switch OLED having some sort of 4-dimensional wind machine leaf blower effect, What do you think this is? Do you think this is a Breath of the Wild 2 hint? Do you think this is a new mechanic with the Switch? Do you think this is hinting at future Nintendo plans?
I think it's a stupid ass trailer.
Okay, well that's going a little far because we're sucked into a black hole, and then that black hole sort of becomes a peephole, which is sort of like a deep simile that Nintendo likes to put in these trailers that hints towards like how we treat games, and they're just little peepholes for our enjoyment of these characters that are suffering. Nintendo views us that way. You know Nintendo though. They don't have time to answer these deep existential questions because a happy man has come through the door. Now we don't know if he's coming from work or for school. He's got a backpack on, which instantly makes you think school, but he looks maybe a little bit older than your average schoolgoer. So he might just be a Smash player. So he gets into his like entrance, he puts his backpack away, and then he sits on like this weird stool in the middle of his hallway. He doesn't go into his kitchen and make a sandwich. He doesn't go into his room or his living room to sit on the couch. I mean, he's already home. He might as well play his Switch in docked mode, realistically. But he can't wait to play the new Pokemon game. So he sits in his weird hallway thing by the staircase and plays some Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Now this is a big deal because this is the first gameplay we've seen of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl since its announcement trailer. Did you get to see the gameplay at least?
Yeah, I saw. It looked nicer.
Yeah, so that's the thing. At first it looks exactly the same, but when you really look at it, even compared to the screenshots we got, it's even more of an improvement. They've desaturized the backgrounds, which is a huge deal because that game was like way oversaturated before it looked like a mobile game. I think my one gripe with this little section of footage is we see the trainer guy sweeping like in the original game with his sprite sliding in. But the difference between 2D and 3D is you usually need like a breathing animation or like some blinking if you want to have a 3D model just stand still without it looking completely dead.
Like dolls.
He rotates in and then has a nice smiling face after throwing the Pokeball. So I'm torn on this. I was very concerned after not seeing it at E3, but it seems like they were very willing to just give Nintendo some footage for their random OLED trailer. They didn't need Pokemon in there. They could have easily played Sword and Shield if they wanted. They really wanted Pokemon in there. Like the average guy who doesn't know there's a Sinnoh remake coming out probably wouldn't even realize that was Sinnoh remake gameplay. It just looks like Pokemon gameplay to the casual guy, you know what I mean? So I don't feel like they benefit that much from putting Pokemon in there, which makes me feel like, okay, so the game isn't in such a weird spot. They just chose not to be at E3 for no reason. It's nice in that respect because it didn't need to show up. On the other hand, out of all the scenes they could have shown, it was another generic grassy wild Pokemon encounter that we've seen 3 times now. They couldn't have shown a new battle, like against like an iconic trainer to really. Like,
I would have liked to see the overworld.
Yeah, we could have seen new overworld shots. We didn't even get to see him throw out a Pokemon. I'm pretty sure he throws out a Pokemon, but we don't actually see the battle screen. We just see him getting caught right afterwards. And then the guy playing just popping off. He's so happy he caught a Buizel. He's been looking for one. I'm just concerned in different ways now. Because I think it's good that they showed gameplay for no reason, practically. So then, what's awesome is we get an adjustable stand. It being inherently adjustable is definitely like a objective upgrade. Seeing it this way makes you think like, oh, was it really that hard to add this, you know? But maybe it was a feat of technology to get this on there. Maybe that's why it costs $50 extra. What do you think about the adjustable stand?
I like it. I've used the little stand before, so definitely having a better one's nice.
Oh, the Switch logo is on the stand now, which makes the Switch logo no longer centered, but a little bit lower. Oh, so I think it's a little bit whiter, so it stands out more. Not a fan of this. I don't know if you've seen this, but they should have just put it above the stand. It would have looked nice if it was in the center and a little bit higher. Now it's lower now. I don't know what the thought process there, but it doesn't look good.
I mean, luckily, I don't think either of us are gonna have to see it, so...
Well, that's not true. I'm gonna have to sometimes, like, go to class or get on a train and people are gonna use it. You didn't really consider that, do you? Do you think they put it on the bottom so people would tweet about it angrily? Do you think Nintendo is that evil?
Big Tendo is using it to get clicks.
They go underneath the stand, Liam. You might not have seen this. And underneath it is a restaurant with... There's a worker we see, and then there's a nondescript couple in the sense that there's two of them. We never see if they're romantically induced, if they're siblings. We don't know anything other than the fact that they're playing Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury together at this restaurant. They're playing with sideways Joy-Cons, which is never a good idea, but in the Nintendo fucking advertisement world, everyone loves sideways Joy-Cons, right? We don't know who is who, by the way. We don't know if the guy is Mario or if the girl is Bowser Jr. or vice versa. But we do see someone run behind a pillar to avoid Bowser, the God Slayer Bowser, his fire. They slickly avoid it, and the dude is like, whoa! And then the girl shushes him, which it's like, dude, we're trying to escape from Bowser. Why are you shushing? You're taking your hands off the controller. Makes me assume that she is the Bowser Jr. player, because Bowser Jr., I haven't played it, but it looks like he doesn't do much. He seems like a accessory type character, not an actual can die and is crucial to the victory plan character. So where does she get off shushing the main guy when he's the one, you know, putting in the hours trying to defeat God Slayer Bowser, you know what I mean? Do you think, like, if they are a couple, are they gonna last with this weird shushing complex the woman has?
I think they could still last. Depends on their other aspects for sure. This is probably the most important thing that was even shown in the trailer, to be honest.
Well, it's Nintendo's vision. They don't realize the kind of messages they're putting out when they say, like, yeah, if you're running away from Bowser, it's socially acceptable to just shush each other. Now, after this strange interaction between the two, we learned that the console has enhanced audio, which I don't know exactly how it's enhanced. The speakers are just at the bottom now, and they're on both sides of the bottom. I don't play my Switch often with its speakers, because if I'm playing in portable mode, I probably have earphones in if I really want the audio, you know what I mean? Otherwise, it's muted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does have better audio, which is objectively good, unless it's not better audio, and it's just different audio, which is not objective anymore. We teleport to a picnic table. How do you feel about picnic tables? Have you eaten at one before?
Compared to an inside table, I mean, I'd rather eat at an inside table, unless it's really nice out.
Row 2 completed at an hour 02. Now, if we did some maths, that's 36 minutes, so not as good. But it makes sense when you consider that I lost 7 characters, which is more than half a row. So there were more than half as many matches or so. Maybe almost exactly half more. One half more. Alright, well, after this, we see a family. And I think this is when Nintendo abandons all canon, and I can see why people would say that they stopped caring a long time ago. So we see a old man, assumably the grandfather. I'm gonna make a lot of assumptions here, but it's what we have to do with what Nintendo provides. I mean, they don't tell us a lot about these people. So there's 2 grandkids and 2 grandparents. They're playing what looks to be chess on 51 games at the club. And the dad, you could tell it's the old dude because it's a hairy-ass hand, which is probably not the daughter's hand. In fact, he's the only one, I would say, with a likely hairy-ass hand. So we know it's him, he makes a move, and then the kid is laughing. Grandmother whispers into his ear, like, yo, make this move, which is confusing to me. So it's the grandfather versus the grandson, but I suppose they're allowed to cheat, unless it's teams, in which why is she whispering and not just making the move? Maybe they're taking turns playing, but then if she's going to tell him what move to make anyways, then what's the point of even taking turns? she's still playing if she's the one choosing the move. Once the grandmother tells the kid to make this move, he has the easiest move. He moves like the tower to the space at the back, gets checkmate, and wins. Let's say the grandma wasn't confident in her decision making, so she whispers it into the son's ear to get a second opinion. But she had the winning play, and that's not something you can second guess, you know what I mean? Like, if the play wins you the game, if it's like connect 4, and you clearly, it's your turn and you clearly have a 4, even if you're on a duo, where anyone can make a play, you would make the play that wins. There is no debate. If you have the winning shot and it's objective that it'll win, then why are we dilly-dallying? So they win, and the grandchild is like upset. She's like, oh man, I lost. But she wasn't playing it. What we would rightfully assume is it's the grandson versus the granddad. So this almost guarantees either she was like betting on the grandfather, which seems strange for Nintendo to endorse children betting. But this seems to imply that it was a 2v2. Why did the grandma whisper into the kid's ears? Maybe she's just whispering crazy shit. And then the kid just makes the move to make her feel better, because he already knew from the beginning how to win in chess. Moving on, we go underneath the table. The earth kind of flips over itself. And then we see the Switch dock. We not only see it dock, but we see the dock. You know what I mean? And this is a nice looking dock. It's got rounder edges. It's white now, very Wii-esque. It's got a larger, or I think it's got a smaller Switch logo that kind of is like more reflective now. It's got vents in the back. It's sort of Windows 11 eyes because of the rounded edges. So just nothing about the actual functionality of the dock. How do you feel about this aesthetically?
I like it.
So this is the point where we get to see Splatoon 3 gameplay, which is very interesting. This part reminds me a bit of the original Switch reveal trailer where we got to see Mario Kart, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2 for the first time. We saw all these games and people didn't know if they were ports, if they were sequels. We didn't know almost anything. But now we do know that this is Splatoon 3, and they're just kind of nonchalantly showing us like in that original Switch reveal trailer. Which, I mean, from this footage alone, it looks very similar from Splatoon 2. We get to see a new weapon and how it works. I'm sure people who were wondering how it worked were very happy because now we know how it works. Would you agree?
I don't really know anything about Splatoon,
but let's do some roleplay here. You are a Splatoon player. You play Splatoon 2, and you watched the first trailer, and you didn't know how the weapon worked. Say that. Say like, I don't know how it works.
I don't know how this weapon works.
Now you see how the weapon works, and what is your reaction?
Oh, that's how the weapon works.
There you go. Pretty satisfying, right? We get a conclusion to that story arc. We see the back side of the dock, which has like a little slit now carved into it. It's a little bit different. It's got vents. I think I may have mentioned that before, which I don't know if that improves that much, but if they want to put it there, if it wasn't an improvement, which is cool. One of the big things about this, they removed the USB 3.0 port, but they finally added an Ethernet port, which is something that's been around on video game consoles since the original Xbox, and people have wanted on Nintendo since Wii U. At this point, everyone who even wanted one has kind of already gotten LAN adapters. But it's cool that it's there nonetheless, because sometimes people do Iron Man shows, and then sometimes some people in those shows forget their LAN adapters.
Yeah, it's a little nice callback to the first episode of the show, for all you viewers at home.
This is nice. Out of everything, even though it's pretty useless, it's nice that the Ethernet port is there.
I mean, even though everything about the Switch is pretty useless, it's cool that they added an Ethernet port.
But it's nice that it's there. I hope it stays there for the future. Because I thought when they removed a USB, people were going to be mad. But then I tried to think of any reason you need a USB on the Switch. And there's like external storage, right? If that's a thing. The GameCube adapter, which you only need one. Some people still think you need both plugged in, but you only need one USB plugged in unless you really need Rumble, which some people think they do, and that's fine. So there's that. There's charging devices, which you can do with any USB port or even a wall outlet. And then there's the Ethernet port, which we ironically, all pretty much used our Ethernet adapters on that specific USB port. So just having one less thing to carry around is nice. And maybe it'll even function better, right? You would assume that...
But do you think you're gonna buy that dock?
Probably not. The Switch isn't really a modular system, but it has elements of it. So the fact that there's changes to the dock is nice because you can upgrade to it and not have to get all the portable stuff, even though it's a little expensive to buy a dock. But it'll be interesting to see if there's less packet loss since you're not converting a signal between... That benefited you entirely. Beyond this point, they keep showing console gameplay, which is kind of dumb because there's no difference in console gameplay. So we see Splatoon 3 with no UI even. We see bumper balls from Mario Party Superstars. I don't know if this minigame was confirmed before. How do you feel about bumper balls?
Yeah, there's usually always some sort of bumping people off something. But hey! Bumping people off something confirmed.
We get to see the family, and this is the only time we see a family. Nintendo's known for family games, but they've neglected the family for a while here, and you can't neglect the family. What's also interesting is that this particular Mario Party game has online, right? That's like the big thing, is you could play board games online. You've been able to play mini games online with the last one. The last one got an update or whatever, but they're not debuting that here. They choose to show the family here, but it makes sense because Mario Party is probably the most family baiting thing this holidays. If your family came to you and they're like, let's play a video game where it's very family-like, you'd probably be like, out of the 20 whatever games that are coming out, you'd probably be like, oh, well, I guess Mario Party's the move. So it makes sense. And you'd probably say, let's play bumper balls as well. Yoshi loses first, which is ironic because his game sucks. Next, Rosalina is killed off-screen, which might be a reference to how Mario Galaxy 2 has been off-screened for so long. Peach defeats Donkey Kong. Do you think this is hinting towards a Peach video game in the style of Donkey Kong Country?
Oh yeah.
Now, what else is important is that when Peach wins, there's 39 seconds left in the minigame. When this trailer got uploaded, Donkey Kong was 39 years old. Now he's 90, but before this, he was 39. We also see that the players' names are Alyssa, Dan, Emily, and Leo. Which these names, do any of these names stick out to you, Liam?
Alyssa.
Interesting for you to say. There is a character from Tekken named Alyssa, and Kazuya was recently added to Tekken. Speaking of which, Dan is a common short way to say the name Dante, which is also a character.
It's also Dan Hibiki.
Oh my god! It would have been so easy to wait for, but then I forget that her fucking head is... There's also Emily, which could be a reference to Emmy, the new Metroid enemy. And Leo. Leo may be a reference to the player, maybe a reference to the Guilty Gear character, maybe hinting to the Tekken character. What do you think all these names mean?
I think that's the new canon Nintendo family.
Well, what if I told you that ADEL spells Adele? So the Peach wins, and the family is popping off. They're all happy. Which, again, not really paying attention to what's going on. 75% of that family just lost. You know? The majority has lost, and the minority has taken all the coins. So, why would they all be so happy? Is this the only minigame they played all day? Like, you can assume that they've either this is their first game, or this is like a game in the middle, or this is their last game. In none of those situations, they would not be that happy. Imagine popping off in that joyful way after every Mario Party minigame. That's just unrealistic. This is the last scene of the trailer, and this is probably the most telling scene. We see a guy in glasses and high socks and a button-down shirt, and a bowl of popcorn. Now this is strange. He's in his living room playing a game. Or whatever, his apartment is shaped like a living room or something. And he's got a bowl of popcorn, but let's say you have a round table, glass table in front of you, and you have a bowl of popcorn. Where do you put your bowl of popcorn?
On top of the Switch.
No, okay. Would you put the popcorn closest to you?
Yeah.
So this guy has his popcorn not as far as possible away from him mathematically, but basically if you went to the opposite side of him and then went to the left a little bit is where he put his popcorn. It's not even within arm's reach. And he's a skinny dude, he doesn't need to watch his weight. I mean, clearly, like, you don't just put popcorn there for decoration. You put it there to eat it. It can't just sit out there forever, you know what I mean? I don't know if he was expecting company and now he's playing Elite Smash because he hates himself, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We don't know what game he's playing yet. We just know that he put his popcorn in a stupid spot. Maybe it's like a self-control exercise. Maybe he's a Smash guru. But he's playing Smash like you do. And we see that he's playing a game on the cloud sea of Allrest. It's nighttime-ish where he is. You could see through the window that it's dark. It's Mario versus Bowser, a canonical match, and Smash Meter is on. We don't know for sure whether he is Mario or he is Bowser. We only know that Mario is fighting Bowser on the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 stage. Next, we transition from his room basically through the wall to this woman's room. Now the woman is also playing Super Smash Bros. And she is playing what appears to be an exact match as he is. She is playing a match with Bowser, the King of Koopas, and Mario, the plumber. They're playing very similar matches, which seems like a coincidence to me. We don't know who she's playing as either. We're not aware. But her room seems a bit brighter, but we can't really see through her windows. They're relatively trendy window blinds that are closed. She is using white Joy-Cons connected to a grip, and we see both players overlaid, sort of like in a guy on the left. Sort of like how Incineroar's on the left and Olimar was on the right there. Did you see that, Liam?
Mm-hmm.
So they're overlaid in such a way that the guy is on the left and the girl is on the right. Seeming to imply, it could imply many things. It's possible that they're both not playing Smash and they both have X-ray vision. And they're trying to spy on each other, but they're not aware that the other one has X-ray vision. Because it's implied that their rooms are next to each other, at least in the framing of this trailer. So they're trying to look at the other one while pretending to play Smash in case the other one has X-ray vision. Both players can't even see the television because of their X-ray vision, so they copy each other's inputs, which is why they're playing on the same characters. They can see the fingers and what buttons they press, so they end up picking Mario versus Bowser in their room, when in reality they can't play Smash because they have X-ray vision and they would just see through the pixels, you know what I mean? Things are getting spicy. There are 45 seconds left on the clock. Both players have 1 stock left. We can assume that they started with 3 stock. It's not very often that people start with 1 stock. And they have a good amount of percent. If you want to be specific, because I know you haven't seen it, Mario has 68.5% and Bowser has 70.2%. We can see each character's name at this point. Mario is being played by someone named Hana but spelled wrong. And the Koopa is being played by Mattias. Mario fills his Smash meter and back throws Bowser, and you know what this means. Mario activates the Mario finale and wins. The woman excitedly smiles and shakes her controller. We can assume at this point that the woman is playing as Mario. We do not see the man's reaction though. We also don't know why she spells her name incorrectly. This detail is not featured into the trailer. We see later that indeed the Mario finale did kill because Mario is victorious on screen, and then the screen her television transforms into a Switch. Do you think that these two players were playing via some sort of interconnected network connection?
Yeah, they were They were playing together.
Now, do you think they were having a good time?
Yes, it seemed like from what you described, she was quite happy.
What's interesting about this implication is I think it's the first time they've ever shown advertised Smash being played in an online capacity, which would be huge because that's the way a lot of people like to play it, but Nintendo for a while it seems like they didn't know that that's what people do. When they are given the opportunity to show Smash, they usually show a hot dude and a hot girl sitting next to each other at the skate park, fucking smashing tits, you know what I mean? Very interesting. I don't want to look into this, but when we saw that initial Smash, the initial Switch trailer, we saw this big esports stadium, people playing Splatoon, making strategies, and even though maybe we haven't gotten the competitive support we wanted based on that telegraph, it did mark a change in the way Nintendo treated their games. We got Nintendo Versus, we got actual Smash tournaments hosted by Nintendo, even though they ignored our rules. So it's not implausible that between the Ethernet port, this Smash Online inclusion, and Smash Online didn't really need to be shown at all because this is a portable console. Obviously, it could be pandemic related. They want to remind people that they don't have to, you know, touch shoulders while smashing each other. They can actually do it in their own home. What do you think, Liam? Does this mark a possible...
Well, seems like it's like local online, not fully online.
Well, they're not in the same room. They're in separate rooms.
Yeah, but the local online, like the local wireless. I mean, it's assuming
They're
that
not in the
it's
same
not just
room.
a train.
I don't even think they're supposed to be in the same apartment. I think they're supposed, because they're even kind of sort of in different times of day. So I think they're far apart in this trailer.
Oh,
I don't think it's like a wireless, because you only do wireless Switch connection for like portable versus portable, like they've shown before. This is like implied that I'm in Ohio and you're in Sokovia, you know? Maybe not that far.
I mean, I guess it's cool. They probably won't do anything for the online though.
What if they added an online play invite in a trailer and then right after they said Frank was right and Liam was wrong? Would that change your mind?
I mean, what would an online play invite really do though?
It would make it so when I make the arena, I can invite you. And then we can spam it at people who don't want to be invited. Could be something. Could mean something. It could mean that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 2 will have rollback connect code.
Seems like a bit of a stretch.
The Switch OLED is coming out October 8th, and this makes so much sense. Not only does it launch right next to Metroid Dread, same day, but I mean we were all saying like, why are they putting so many games in October? And it's because it's a hardware launch month, you know what I mean? Like, actually obvious. Isn't it obvious in hindsight? Why put Monkey Ball, Metroid, Mario Party, and all the other stuff in October? Why are they stacking up? Nothing is happening in October. And launching it alongside Metroid is great. They're actually pushing Metroid a little bit. They put it at the start of the trailer. They're putting it at the front of the launch thing. It was kind of their E3 headline. It feels good. What do you think about the release date?
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Do you feel like a clown for not seeing it coming?
No. Because I think it sucks. The problem is that, you know, you can blame all these quote-unquote leakers for bringing up expectations that Nintendo had more for the more hardware additions to the Switch other than just display for portable.
Well, we don't know what their whole plans are. I think there's a difference between being angrily replying to Nintendo, you fucked up, don't buy this, you're rewarding a lazy company. When in reality, it's for different people than you know. But there's nothing wrong with being disappointed. It doesn't even mean that you were hyped by leakers. It means I'm not gonna get it. I don't really care about this. If they want to take another shot at the portable only thing, or the portable emphasized thing, that's what it is. It's probably even better than launching a better CPU and then not being able to buy it under fucking $400, you know?
It just seems like a peculiar case.
This doesn't erase a different thing. They've never said it does. So I don't know how it's copium. If we didn't know Metroid Prime 4 was happening and you just assumed Dread means no 3D Metroid. It's like one thing that isn't another thing doesn't mean the other thing doesn't exist. And the reality is the longer they wait to drop new hardware, the cheaper it'll get and the more shit they could stack into it. The state of play. It starts out, we see Moss Book 2. What do you think of Moss?
I don't care for it.
Do you know, have you played the first one?
No.
Yeah, well, this is a VR game where you play as a mouse. And it's like a platformer thing, I think. And this is the second one. The art style is kind of nice. I thought it looked cool, but I'll probably never play it alone. Then they showed Arcadegeddon, which looked fucking terrible. It's such a blatant Fortnite clone that it's just fucking sad. Like, the animations look exactly the same. The fucking characters look the same. The name is fucking dog shit. It's the worst name in a long time. When it's spelled arcade and then a G, it's Arcadegeddon. You can't put another syllable on arcade just because you want a pun.
That's so stupid.
So Tribes of Midgard, which was a Valheim clone, which, according to Google, came out 2 years ago. But it might be an early access thing. It's coming out next week or something. It looks fine.
It looks cool. I mean, it just looks like Valheim, but it looks cool. Like, if Valheim didn't exist and this was the only game, it would look really cool.
Yeah. But now that Valheim exists, it's completely worthless, and they should be ashamed, is what you're saying. We saw Dist, which was the realistic bunny from the Game Awards in that realistic, like, steampunky world that's like kind of side-scrolling action. Hunter's Arena, which they said they have like this rip-off direct thing where they have like the lady doing the voiceover and she's like, ever wonder what a fighting game battle royale would look like? But it's not a fighting game at all. It's more of an action game battle royale, which means that whoever does this doesn't know what video games are, I guess. We saw Sifu, which this game looks kind of cool. It's like John Wick, but like Kung Fu, and then you age. I think when you die, you age, which makes you better, I guess. I think it's cool, because you're seeing like this cool looking guy get older, and when you get older and you're still doing Kung Fu, you're twice as cool, right? It got delayed, but if they delayed it in a cool way and not the text transition to the same way your age transitions in the game. So it's probably the coolest way a game has ever been delayed, to be fair. We saw Jet, which was like this flying simulator. There was a Demon Slayer game. Are you familiar with Kimetsu no Yaiba?
Yeah, I heard a lot of people have some complaints about it.
The game?
Yeah, because of the roster. Because there's no demons in it, apparently.
So what I got from it, I went on the comments and they're like, this is awesome. So I assumed it was awesome. From my perspective, as someone who didn't watch the anime and is just looking for an interesting game, this is a Cyber Connect game, so it's like the Naruto people, and it looks like one of the Naruto games. Every level is just like a square with like dojo textures. Like, it has one of the least interesting environments you possibly can have in a video game. And that's probably canon, because people seem to like it. Sometimes anime games can look cool if you don't watch the anime, you know? Like the JoJo fighting game by Capcom is a competent game, even without the bias. And Dragon Ball Fighters as well. This didn't look very interesting without any lore connection. We saw Lost Judgment, which looks like a more classic Yakuza type game. Death Stranding Director's Cut, which had a lot of improvements, like there was a robot that carried your luggage, there was ramps, there was kart racing, he could drop kick people, and I guess more story elements. I didn't get a good look at the pricing. I know people were less mad about this than Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm assuming it's not as expensive. And then we saw a lot of Deathloop, because I know you keep saying that we don't see enough Deathloop. They don't show it a whole lot, so every time we do see it, it's very exciting. I still feel like we're a little underfed on the Deathloop info. But we did see a big mechanic about the game, Liam. So when you die in Deathloop, you actually can respawn. Did you see this about the game?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so when you die, it's sort of like a time loop, and then you can reappear after dying in a spot you were previously, as if you didn't die. It's pretty innovative, I think. You want to get into the music of Tekken?
Sure.
Let's go in order. Did you listen to my playlist where you had the originals and
Yeah.
the...
Yeah, I did.
So you have a good perspective. So what do you think of the original Tekken 2 version of Kazuya Mishima Devil Kazuya?
Compared to the remix?
Give your thoughts on the original and then give your thoughts on the remix. It's pretty hard to talk about them, I guess, without comparing them. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna compare them. I personally like the remix more. Which I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not, but I thought the remix was really good.
well, I guess it is important to note the context, because the Smash remixes always usually have the intent of being more oriented towards battle themes, whereas I think the original Devil Kazuya theme is more of an ambient sort of theme to representing his devil side or whatever. I think the consensus is that when you harshly critique the original versus the remix, this particular remix does stand the criticism because it adds a whole lot, and it actually properly adapted the original melody into a battle track in an interesting way.
Yeah.
So
I think
like
the
this-
remix fits Smash well, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
the
enjoyed
progression of the track too is really nice as it gets more intense. And I know a lot of people, even in the Tekken community, wanted a remix like this, where they took this melody and they turned it into an actual, like, modern track. We'll move on to Landscape Under the Ghost Kamino. What did you think about...
I don't really care for this song, like, in general.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I thought it was, but it's hard to, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of Smash. I'm like, I don't think this would be good in Smash. And I feel like it's too slow.
Interesting.
But I was just not that big of a fan of that song.
Yeah. So that was similar to how I felt the first time I heard it, because I didn't listen to the original first. But I know the original, it's a credits theme, so people have emotional connection to it. So the fact that it was remixed and it's been in multiple games, I think makes people really like it. This particular, the remix version was done by Ace. So I went in with really high expectations because his music is usually some of the best in the game. And I didn't like how it was just the vocals repeating itself over and over again. It felt like it took a really long time to get into the like action-y part of the song where things got really hyped up. But over more listens and appreciating the original theme, I actually like it a little bit more. And I think it's pretty good. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but I think I'm glad that it exists. So moving on, Dist thins out. So what did you think about these two? Because this is when it starts to get more controversial. Original.
So
versus
this is the
character select for.
Yeah. I'm trying. I feel like I liked the Tekken 6 version the most.
Yeah.
And then it also was the Tekken Tag song.
It was in Cross Tag with Street Fighter, and they remixed Dist with the Street Fighter 4 theme, so I included it in the playlist. But it's a straight remix of the original. I just included it as reference. I would put that at the bottom, but I do really appreciate. I think it's cool that they fused both songs together in sort of the 360 era of fighting games. But I'm really torn on this one. I like aspects of both. I like the guitar in the original one. I think that one's more hype. I think I might like them equally, but the original might edge it out a little bit. I would have liked a few tweaks to the Smash one. I probably would have liked that one more. But I'm glad it's in the game at least. So after that, we get Karma, which I think this is the most controversial one.
I like the original better. I'm gonna say that flat out. I like the original better.
Interesting. I actually like the remix on this. I like the original better.
I don't think the remix is bad. I just like the original better.
Yeah, they should have 100% kept the original. What I appreciate about the remix is that it starts with the good part. Like the original's nice because you're leading up to that part. But I like that it gets in the action right away, which is appreciated in a Smash song, because you want to right off the bat be like intensely focused and like high octane action or whatever. So I think I'm glad that it exists, but it 100% they should have included the original. And for like a very iconic Tekken song, it was strange that we didn't get that included. Oh no! Next is probably my most controversial, or my most annoyed, is the Dojo remix.
I don't like any of them.
You don't like a single one?
Wait, which? Oh wait, no. Hold up. Sorry. Let me fix what I was gonna say. I don't like the Smash one at all.
Okay.
I think the originals are good. For some reason, I thought the originals were just like the Smash one for a second in my head, and that's not the case. I don't like this Japanese style, whatever, Smash.
Yeah. Well, they tried to make it fit the dojo more, I think, trying to make it more into a Japanese style. The problem is this plays on Battlefield and FD2, and the original song is just more hype, I think. The original song was one of my most wanted. Especially having round 1 and 2 together would have been nice, because round 2 is when it starts to get really exciting. But like the strums and the vocals, they come back in some capacity in the remix. But I really like the originals. I think it definitely competes with the Tekken 7 remixes, because they remixed it again in the 2 themes, and I thought that was less. It was underwhelming compared to the originals. But I really wanted these themes in Smash, and even when I first heard it, I was like, this is not nearly as hype as the original. Although, a good song if there was nothing to compare it to, I think. I think it would be pretty exciting if there was no original. If you just heard it, you'd be like, this is pretty fun. Especially during the strumming section. This, I think, is the biggest downgrade in my opinion. Next we have Moonsiders, which is the Infinite Azure theme. Oh. No.
So, I think putting the original in would have been good, because I don't think the remix is bad per se. I just think the originals seem better.
So this one's.
But I like that it gets just kind of into it, because it's like for Smash, like I don't know, like Infinite Azure on Smash just kind of would be kind of weird. I feel like. So it's hard.
I'm torn. I think I liked the original song at one point, but it's just so overplayed in YouTube videos, I think, that I'm just sick of any version of it. That being said, I like Yoko Shimura's take on it. It feels like more chill. Oh my god. I like the instruments used. I think it's a good complementing track. I probably wouldn't play it in a Smash match. Like, it's a little strange that you take what was already kind of a chill track for battles and you just maintain its chillness, when usually that's the opposite of what they do with Smash remixes. This I'm pretty even on. I don't have a really strong opinion on this. And then Aloneness which is more so a remix of Solitude. So Aloneness is the actual song with the vocals, and then Solitude is the menu without the vocals. But this basically transforms the vocals into instruments, which is fair. I like this song. I would put it equal. They're all pretty equal to me, because they're all basically the same song. What do you think?
I really like the one with the vocals. I don't think
that's supposed to be Kazuya's mother singing too.
Oh.
But I don't know, I like the remix. I think it's pretty good. They basically just added stuff to Solitude to make it sound more like Aloneness without bringing in the vocals. And what did you think of Desperate Struggle?
I'm trying to remember that one.
That one's like, it's the theme of Kazuya versus Heihachi in Tekken 7 at the end. It's just like a really intense battle track.
I feel like I'd have to, because I don't remember the difference off the top of my head.
Yeah, they were very similar. I think they just added some drums and bass to it. So I would say it's probably an upgrade in that case. So this was not very egregious. This is one of the ones where I'd be like, it's fine that the original's not there, even though I don't think either of us. It's not the most popular Tekken song. so neither of us have really listened to it a whole lot. But I don't think it's an offensive remix. I think it's fine. It might be an upgrade, I don't know. I haven't listened to either one enough to get an opinion on that one. And then what do you think about Whoa Hey Guys?
What do you mean? That wasn't in the playlist. That wasn't in the playlist?
What?
Whoa, hey guys?
Yeah, from Tekken 8?
Oh my god.
The Cloud Ditto? Oh, it could be Cloud, could be Corrin. Spooky. Alright, let's play it out to the Ditto. And then, I guess we'll talk about Black Widow as far as we can get.
Ah, I wanted the Cloud Ditto.
Well, it is a Cloud Ditto now. Or no, it's not.
No, it's a Corrin.
It's a Corrin Ditto now. Oh, it's fighting for a Cloud Ditto, but I had no idea that it was actually a Corrin Ditto. It's always a surprise every time. Ah, never a 2. Well, now, since you're Bayo, we can get into Black Widow, but we gotta get into a very dense recap. So we start out, we're in some sort of Middle Eastern country, and there is a tank rolling down. The US government, Back in Black is playing, and it is Tony Stark. And he's going, peace, I'll be out of a job at peace. And then the car gets shot at. He's like, give me a gun or whatever, I gotta get out of here. Tony Stark, he jumps out of the car, hides behind a rock, and then there's a Stark bomb next to him. And he's like, what the heck? It's ironic because it's his bomb, but it might blow him up, you know? Then he's like, I gotta do something before this bomb blows me up. So he builds an Iron Man suit to protect himself. The bomb goes off, he goes flying, but he lives. And he's like, oh man, how am I gonna land? So he develops rocket boots to his Iron Man suit. And he flies to the Arctic, and he finds Captain America. And he's like, I gotta get this guy out of there. He's freezing to death. So he builds heat hands, and he heat hands Captain America. And then Captain America tells him, Bucky killed your parents. And then he's like, why didn't you tell me that earlier? He starts fighting him. And then Black Widow has to pick a side. And she chooses Steve, which means she's breaking the Sokovia Accords, and then that sets the stage for Black Widow.
Yeah, that's actually the first 35 minutes of the movie, right?
Yeah. They had to retcon a lot of stuff to get us there. Oh, no. You know, I wonder... We haven't gotten any timeouts. I wonder if this speed run in the background has actually influenced our play, which is very bad, because we want to make sure we're always playing to win and not necessarily playing to get a good time. But it could also just be compared to... I also turned off the ARM stage for this today, so we wouldn't get timeouts. Alright, so Ohio, 1995. We're opening on Ohio.
1995.
Yes, thank you. I almost forgot. This is around the time where Captain Marvel landed. So there's this blue-haired widow. She's not a widow yet.
This blue-haired girl riding her bike.
She's riding her bicicleta.
Honestly, a scene that I myself have done before.
This made her pretty relatable off the bat because she rode her bike. The bike also symbolizes two forces of play that she's stuck between. Her mother and father, Tony and Cap, Russia, America, you know. She's constantly sitting in the middle of two wheels, but always moving forward from it in how a bike works. And what you'll find is that the wheels go in the same direction despite being on separate sides, you know? That's interesting. But moving on, she goes around and she rides her bike.
You also don't know for sure if it's Black Widow at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you can like safely assume
the
it
movie
probably
is called Black Widow. She dyes her hair. Her hair is blue, which is sort of the opposite of red. Not really. The opposite of red is green. But it signifies that not only does she not have red in her ledger yet, you can see the roots growing out, which shows that she's going to become a non-innocent child, whereas she's innocent right now. But she's also already living a fake life, right? That's not her real hair, just like that this life she's living is just a disguise. So even when she's a small child, she's not exactly who she claims to be, you know? It's legit impossible to recount Black Widow and win. I've been trying.
So you get to see her family.
Whoa! Too fast, buddy. You're spoiling it. First, she sees Yelena. Yelena is trying to play with her. Yelena is doing the bridge, which is a gymnastics move, which is foreshadowing to when they do gymnastics in the movies. You know? Black Widow, also known as the Soul Stone, is doing the bridge, and she outdoes Yelena. First of all, Yelena's younger. Second of all, she's not the main character, so she can't be as good as Scarlett Johansson. They chase each other around. They have a little whistle. They have their own little unique whistle thing that they do, which will come into play later. Yelena falls over and hurts her knee. She cries for her mom. The mom shows up. She tells her, "You're a fucking failure. You already fell. How are you gonna kill like our opponents when you become a spy?" But in reality, they don't know they're gonna become spies yet, which makes this whole bit so sad. Well, Scarlett Johansson kind of is catching on to stuff, because the mom shows up and Scarlett Johansson kind of like climbs up on the playground and is like looking suspiciously, whereas Yelena is like, "Mom, I'm glad you're here because I got hurt and I want you to help me." Milena, who's the mother, is like, "Pain only makes you stronger." Scarlett Johansson is on a swing, signaling her swinging back and forth in Civil War, and also how she swings her body around her opponents with her legs. The small yellow one says, "Look, forest stars," which she's talking about fireflies, which they don't have in Russia. And Milena is like nerding out. She's like, "Actually, they're from the kingdom phylum, whatever, and they release chemicals that create bioluminescence," which is immediately showing that she's a smart woman. You know what I mean? Like, she knows what bioluminescence means, and she said the word chemicals, which means she's a scientist, but we don't know that yet. ScarJo likes the fireflies. They start to walk home, but ScarJo's looking at them, and they're like, "Wow, those fireflies are awesome." Foreshadowing something.
That gives the illusion of tying the movie together when it really doesn't mean anything.
Well, no, the fireflies, they foreshadowed each
New superhero
widow across the map when they show the map, actually. The dots on a monitor, which that's all she is to the man. Dracovic, or whatever his name is. That might be a Pokemon.
Dracovic is a Pokemon.
No! They get home. Yelena wants mac and cheese, but Melania wants champagne and caviar, which is foreshadowing when she drinks champagne. Do they ever eat caviar in this movie, Liam? We can get a little spoilery here.
No.
So that didn't amount to much. Maybe it's just a joke. Maybe we're looking into it too much. There's DuckTales on the TV, which, speaking of ducks, there was no reference to Duck Hunt. Oh, actually, I guess DuckTales makes sense because it's Disney. I didn't actually think about that. Dan comes in. He's a young Dan Harbor. He's acting like a normal dad, but he's kind of zoning out a bit. You don't get to see his face right away, which makes you be like, "Whoa, what's going on?" He doesn't greet his family very normally. And then the mom catches on quickly. She starts going like, "Whoa, what's going on?" She goes up to him and she's like, "Is it time already?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "How long do we have?" He's like, "We have an hour." And then he comes back in and he's like, "Well, remember that adventure we talked about? Today's the day." And Yelena's popping off, but ScarJo's kind of freaking out. ScarJo is catching on to things that Yelena's not picking up on. Yelena has drunk the Kool-Aid that is this family scenario. We don't know exactly at this point that it's a family scenario, but you can catch on, especially with how sus ScarJo is all the time, and the family's clearly there's something deeper at play. It's Black Widow. She killed Iron Man, okay? Like, she doesn't fuck around. Milena says, I'm sorry. The Red Guardian grabs his gun, and he drops some bullets. Yelena picks it up for him, which is like, whoa. You're supposed to be like, whoa. She's picking up bullets, whoa. She doesn't even know what's going on. Yelena doesn't have shoes. It's okay. She doesn't need them. She's hungry. There's fruit roll-ups in the car, which is never a good thing to hear. Like, when you hear there's fruit roll-ups in the car, you know that means trouble. ScarJo tries grabbing a book. We don't know what it is, but we find out later that it's a scrapbook with all their fake memories in it that ScarJo actually likes. Even though she knows it's fake, it makes her feel happy for some reason. Yelena tells her not to bring it because this is an emergency, but we find out later that she does indeed take the scrapbook, showing that she does care somewhat about the family time she got to spend with ScarJo and Yelena. So Guardian grabs the floppy disk, and she's like, is that the floppy disk? And he's like, yeah, it's the floppy disk. They're like, where are we going? He says home, which I think is a reference to Infinity War. So it just happens that different people said the same thing. It didn't really make sense when Steve said home. It just, they're going home. ScarJo's looking out of the car. She's super sus. Yelena's like, oh, Mom, you're so silly. We just left home. She's being just a card, isn't she? There's American Pie. She wants her song. She doesn't know the meaning of the lyrics. The lyrics are actually super important because it's like about America coming of age and then like a certain era of American music dying or whatever. This'll be the day I die represents the lives that Yelena and ScarJo, the lives they could have had officially dying, and they have to become widows. Everything's super symbolic. And they get to the place, and there's like a plane. They're trying to get on the plane. Shield shows up.
So they get on the plane.
Get on the plane. Dan Harbor's on the
chased.
floor. She's shooting up the shield agents. We see that they're shield agents. They try to fly. A woman gets shot. ScarJo needs to fly. Dan Harbor jumps on the wing, and it's like intense. Are they gonna get there? ScarJo last second pulls up with all her strength. She flies the plane, and they're good. And we only see Red Riot or whatever on the wing of the plane, but we don't see them land. So at first I was like, oh, he holds on the whole time because he's a f***ing superhero. But it's possible he just climbed in off screen, which is not impossible. The windows got shot at and probably broke. Oh. So they arrive. They're in Cuba now. Their mom is fucked up. She's on a geener, whatever, burner. What are those? Girder?
Gurney.
Ernie's. She's on the Ernie. Gurney. And then Yelena's like freaking out. She tells her pain only makes you stronger. The Red Guardian's back, but he immediately doesn't give a shit about the kids. He goes to Dragunov and he's like, yo, where the hell, like, you gotta get me back in the field. I spent 3 years not being the Red Guardian. You need the Red Guardian. Let's do this shit. He's super hyped about that. He gives no shits about the kids or the mom, which establishes his character at this point, which makes sense because we know at least Cap's serum enhanced your personality traits too, which is why he's so righteous more so after he takes his serum and why it matters. We saw this with US Agent as well. So if he had any sort of ego before the thing, he would be an absolute caricature of an egomaniac, you know. So they take the mom away. Last thing she tells them is never let them take your heart. Pretty generic, but it's like, don't. She knows they're gonna get red roomed, but she wants them to know not to lose. No, that's it. Ah, you did it. Harbor gives the floppy to him. Yeah, the guy asks about Milena, and he's like, yeah, whatever. Yelena tries going to Red Guardian. Alright, I can't blindly hit the fucking Rebel Guard. Oh my god, dude, it's so dumb how long that lasts. Please die. Oh.
So they get red roomed. There's a series of flashbacks in the title screen and all of that.
And which is probably the best part of the movie. This reminds me a lot of X-Men Origins, where they go through like Wolverine and Sabretooth's origin story, and it has like some of the most interesting stuff plot-wise in the movie, seeing the characters fight in all these different wars. This is like, oh, you're seeing them train, you're seeing... They keep cutting to like regular childhood stuff to juxtapose like the bad stuff, but then they're also just showing them like children's cartoons. There's a scene where there's a bunch of widow kids watching cartoons and drinking juice boxes simultaneously. Like they're training them how to drink juice properly, which is very strange. Oh yeah, and before this, Yelena tries running towards the Red Guardian. Natasha kicks the dude out of the way and takes her gun, and she's like way out of her depth. She's like, don't touch her, I'll shoot you. And then Dan Harbor calms them down. They put the juice in them. They put them in the truck. Drakenov is like, yo, I like that one. Then what's her name? And he goes, Natasha. And then we get the Black Widow sequence with the music, some trendy adjacent music. It's not from a video game, so I don't know what it was.
It's Teen Spirit from Nirvana, but it's sung by a woman and a bit slower.
Oh, I knew that was coming, but I didn't have time to drift back. Alright, so we do the X-Men Origins thing. They show a bunch of Dragunov pictures. He's with Bill Clinton. He's in a bunch of important places. He's been there the whole time. Which other MCU movies are probably like, shit, wait, I gotta rewrite the scene and have Dragunov in the background. He's probably gonna make bank being in all these... Anytime the X-Men want to change history, Magneto wants to kill JFK, they're gonna have to show Dragunov in the background. Yeah, dark training, stuff we saw in Age of Ultron. Pull a bow around her ponytail and it becomes the Black Widow logo. Now, what do you think about the Black Widow logo?
Pretty classic.
Do you think the Ben 10 logo did it better?
Oh, they are kind of similar. I guess I never really thought about it.
Who do you think copied who? Probably Ben 10, right? It came later.
Yeah.
So they get their cool outfits, they get their surgeries, history of Dragunov. We cut to General Ross in some building. He tells her that she assaulted the King of Wakanda, which is Black Panther in Civil War. She electrocutes him. I don't know how they found out about that. I guess T'Challa's a snitch. She does have a tracking device in her belt. I don't know if she knows it or not, but she takes off all her clothes. She's wearing like casual clothes. Manages to get all the way to Morocco. She also calls General Ross on the cell phone. He calls Ant-Man the disappearing convict or whatever.
Drinking convict.
Which is, he mentions that they captured everyone, which establishes this as after Civil War, but before Steve breaks out everyone at the end of the movie, which apparently was a long time. We cut to Bolovlia. She's trying to snipe someone. They see her. She has like a clear shot but doesn't take it. They see her, they smoke. She goes to the ground. She's running around. She's nowhere near this lady with the case. She find out later has magical brainwashing, unbrainwashing, social programming shit. Door opens. Clearly not Yelena opening the door. Gets hit by a car immediately after. Obviously Yelena's not driving that car. So somehow they combo opening a door into getting hit by a car. When she gets hit by the car, she's nowhere near the door. Yelena comes out of another door. This sequence makes no fucking sense. And then takes the fucking... She's just fighting fucking the Mr. Unlucky. Fighting a little bit, she Arya Starks her, gets the suitcase, but gets sprayed instantly by the red dust. And
which gets her wiring shorted.
Which... This is probably the worst part of the movie in general, is this fucking dust that has no downsides. It's not like they're given a line of code inserted in their brains. They're trained over years, Pavlovian style, to learn how to kill and to follow this guy. But this dust, we never see who made this dust either. I guess we can assume it's Milena or the arms dealer. but it magically undoes everything. And then not only that, but it doesn't even leave him confused. Immediately, Yelena's like, shit, I gotta go on the side of good. Which I think we assume that Yelena has always been working for the Widows, even though she knows about Black Widow and all the heroic stuff she does. I guess so she would be able to learn how to fight them. But we're definitely gonna get sub 4 hours. The speedrun timer psychologically definitely must affect us, right? It must slightly imply a faster pace, especially when we'll have scores to beat. Be like, Liam, we're in the red, we gotta hurry up, you know what I mean? But there's obviously times where I'll need the timeout. You'll need the timeout. No, that's it. We could have had a fucking movie where Yelena was still under the... I guess they didn't want to copy Winter Soldier too hard. They just wanted to make a worse version of it. Clearly, Black Widow wasn't affected by the mist. She made her own decision to quit. They're not that brainwashed, you know? But Yelena instantly... And there's a bit of mystery around it too. I was like, oh, I bet this is a double twist. I bet when you get sprayed by the mist, you're actually like controlled by another force. My controller wasn't working. So Yelena gets magically mind fixed. Cuts out her tracking device, gets the fuck out of there. I guess she sends the rest of the red stuff to Rick. Rick tells Black Widow about it. Black Widow is like, she doesn't know what it is yet. She's just driving around randomly. The best character ever in a Marvel movie, Taskmaster. Oh, so no, okay, before this, they realize that Yelena's gone rogue. Dragunov finds out. Oh my god. So they cut out Tracker, they're like, oh, we have a defector. Then Taskmaster is watching Clint versus Black Panther. So some random lady comes in the room. Taskmaster is no longer watching Clint versus Black Panther. She plugs in a USB into her head, which never gets explained. She walks around him, puts her fingers on their mask, and says, smile. And
then that's like the most confusing part of the whole movie, because that...
It didn't make
there's
sense
no reason for that. There's no reason for that.
It has nothing to do with Taskmaster. It's not explained. And the rest of the movie, it's never explained. We don't know who that is. We don't know why they said smile. I guess it's trying to be intimidating? I don't know what the hell. I'm amazed that, like, these Marvel movies, you know that there's fucking countless business people and, like, script rewrites and all these people looking at this movie, and that scene never got cut. After 2 years of delays or whatever, like, this movie was supposed to come out fucking ages ago. This is practically a phase fucking 3 movie. And that scene still made it in. It's fucking absurd. I guess the logic was Taskmaster had literally no character, so we had to get every Taskmaster scene we could in the final product with a smile. Then we're in Norway. The news guy is like, he's explaining they explain Civil War a fuck ton of times in this movie. Some people are on the run, Steve Rogers is on the run, everyone else is captured. And then that's all the notes I have. We just watched the movie and I just put down as much as I could remember.
Well, do you want me to pick up where you were?
If you have a good thing, or if you just want to talk about the first fifth of the movie.
Well, where this movie did right was, I think the interactions between the family per se was like all pretty good. I thought they had a lot of good interactions. The breaking him out of jail scene was pretty good.
I mean, we could continue this in another Iron Man episode if we want to get into the nitty-gritty again. But I like that he didn't follow orders, but he only didn't follow orders at first. They had no fucking plan. Their plan was to fly a helicopter above the fucking facility, and then hopefully he can jump up to it.
Well, the issue was that Yelena decided that it was a great idea to shoot the rocket launcher, and it caused an avalanche.
You have a prison in Siberia, and you're in the fucking Marvel universe where technology can make planes invisible and fucking people can shrink down. And you have no protection against avalanches. That shit came and basically everyone died. Like, they had no procedure for an avalanche. And they're right by a fucking mountain. We know that the arms dealer can get them disguise masks, unless that was actually Melena's technology, which is never explained. It's just, remember this? That would have been hella more useful. Give him a disguise match and just give him Dragunov's face or something. Speaking of Dragunov, I mean, his daughter is the worst part of the movie. She doesn't say a single line of dialogue, and she replaces one of the main reasons people wanted to see this movie is because they wanted to see Taskmaster finally in the MCU. Not only does he look terrible, which is apparently not even an artistic decision. It's one thing to have like an artistic take. Apparently they just changed him because China didn't want like a skeleton man.
Oh
So,
my god,
yeah.
that's actually so cringe. I wonder if I wonder if them selling out to China or whatever was the main reason why that movie took. It's like if they had a design in mind for him, and then they just like.
I mean, that design was revealed pretty early on.
Even if Taskmaster wasn't gonna really be the main focus of this movie,
He
which
shouldn't have even been in this fucking movie
Yeah.
if they didn't have like actual Taskmaster. He's only there to make. I think this Marvel has had a pretty good recovery on shitty villains. They've always had shitty villains, but since Thanos and fucking Killmonger, Mysterio was good. Wasn't the best villain, but he was better than your average villain.
I enjoyed that movie. Let's just get to what everyone wants to hear. The end of the end credits.
Okay, well, Miss Hydra. All everything else out of the way. The villains sucked. I like how they're like, the fucking daughter might have survived. Oh no, we needed the daughter to lure in Dragunov to kill Dragunov. The daughter now has a scar. How the fuck did Dragunov survive? Why doesn't he have a scar? The only reason they blew up the daughter is to kill the guy, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Whatever. Nobody caught that, or nobody gave a shit, because it's a fucking Civil War movie. She's a fucking Soul Stone now, in a timeline we don't even go to anymore. Probably got pruned. Yeah, end credits scene. Yelena does the whistle on Natasha Romanoff's grave after she becomes the Soul Stone, which is funny because they don't have access to her body. So it's just like, it's just a grave in Ohio. We know it's Ohio because of the fireflies and because Miss Hydra walks up behind her, says fucking,
I'm allergic to the Midwest.
There were some stuffed animals at her grave. I wonder if one of them was the stuffed animal from the beginning of the movie. Someone has a stuffed animal and fucking Red Crimson takes it. She's mourning, and then Miss Hydra from Falcon and Winter Soldier, she's supposed to show up here first. But it's fine either way. It's probably more impactful now that we actually know who she is. She's like, oh, that sucks. And she's like, I'm mourning. What the fuck are you doing? And she goes, don't you want to know who killed her? She gets a picture of Hawkeye, which raises a lot of questions. Like, I guess you could interpret Hawkeye throwing Black Widow off of the cliff as him killing her. But how did she know that Hawkeye killed her? And even if she did know that, what's the difference between her saying Hawkeye threw her off and her saying fucking Steve Rogers threw her off, you know? Like, if Yellow Belova wasn't there, and they have fucking hologram tech, even if she had a video of it somehow, even if she's like some omnidimensional being that can fucking travel through timelines and see Hawkeye kill her, it's like, I guess, yeah, send Yellow Belova to kill Hawkeye because they're probably around the same power level, I guess. But it's kind of dumb. I don't see them executing Hawkeye versus Yellow Belova very well because the Disney Plus show's action scenes have never been super great. And in general, the episodes have been hit or miss. So even though I like Hawkeye, and I always want them to do more with that character, because in the comics, apparently, he's a fucking awesome character. So I was happy to see him. It's a great picture of him, by the way. It looks kind of cool in that picture. Not an incredible end credits scene, but it was probably one of the most interesting scenes anyway. What did you think
Well,
of
it's our first connection to the fucking TV shows, which was nice to finally
this is the
get
first
some
movie.
payoff. That movie definitely should have been before Infinity War.
Right. Well, regardless, it's over. We'll talk about Black Widow more next week, probably. Oh, I didn't stop the timer. Alright, well, 3:45, probably a bit more because of the Me Gunner mishap. Not bad. Sub 4 is always good, you know? What do you think? It's not really a gimmick, but what do you think about the new mechanic?
It's cool. I give it a 10 out of 10 because it doesn't do anything besides speed it up.
Unless the goal was to make the score longer. Yeah, 53. This would be above average. Pretty nice. Episode 26. I'm still impressed we got sub 4. It always feels good when you get sub 4. Next episode, we'll finish our Black Panther, Black Widow talk, and we'll probably talk about the Switch outputting 4K and the Smash rollback update or whatever. Whatever comes out next week. The Loki finale. We'll probably record our own thing for that.
I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Good episode. Episode 27 will be our next one. Maybe it'll be more tame. Maybe we'll go for a tame session, for a tame era. And then go back to the crazy stuff. Any last words on this episode? Is there a Liam comeback coming soon in the future?
Need for speed.